kind of reminiscing. Thank you all for being here. I appreciate it. This once again, this particular episode here, this video is sponsored by Bradley. It's dedicated to all the people on Patreon, to all my uh um supporters. Not subscribers, all the supporters, and the people, and especially Bradley, because he's trying to help me feel like I'm part of a family. And for those who don't know and who aren't familiar with this, Wages World, there's kind of this nucleus of a family. We've spun off from him, and he's given us he's our umbrella, guy, and we consider that part of the family. And he's dad or grandpa or great grandpa at this point, I guess. Um, Not because of his age, but just generationally speaking, if you will. Great grandpa, maybe. He's just that. Again, it's not age, not chronological age. Um, it's in respect, like the mountains. They're still here. They're ancient, whatever. Uh, and so, family. I'm part of this online family that is a real, actual thing. And I've met people in the real life. I communicated with them in real life. Bradley, for one, and Jacqueline and Pamela, thank you very much, as well, as part of our network of family. So, um, dedicate again at 1444. I'm dedicating this to the people who've made this happen for me, and not just through the donations and that have allowed me to materially enhance the studio, but the support and the go get 'em and the comments and the consistent comments. That's the 10 of you. So, thank you. All right. So, the back to the material, 1515. Uh, I mark the time code. When I do that, I mark the time code. And I started a new recording, so this isn't 1515 at the whole length of it, but whatever. And I'm just pause off the narrative. I think what I may do, because I am going to be this is going to be on the editing floor, on the editing bench. And so I am likely to make little shorts out of this one long ass video, which I say I will, and I don't, and I mean it, and I don't follow through, but I'm pretty sure this time, I mean it this time. I mean it every time, but I'm pretty sure I'm following through on this one right here. Because I already have to anyway. And I'm meaning to, and this is the one. This is my video. This is me. This is my work. I'm a writer. And I've shared this before. I couldn't be a DJ and, have my own stuff out there, and, I would have to play someone else's work. And just, I'm grateful that life beyond your wildest dreams. There you go. DJ extraordinaire, Verdi Arbusto. I have almost 3,000 people on YouTube, and then I have another 3,000 on my Facebook. And so I get 6,000 people, who are all here, who want to know about the Schumann resonances. So, I'm doing this out of a labor of love, and I'm hoping that I can kind of keep the enthusiasm up for you all, and so you can kind of, have the same drive, for learning the Schumann resonances and the atmospheric electromagnetics that I do. It's what I'm hoping for, that it's not just that you're coming because you think, the Schumann resonances will help you ascend, but I want you to know this because I want you to know the material. I want you to understand the material and have a love for it like I do. Wow, woo, woo, woo. All right. So, on the material. All right. 1616. Gutenberg's galaxy. All right. So Gutenberg was the inventor of the printing press. Big deal. Big deal. Big deal. All right. The printing press was quite the invention. Gutenberg, the inventor of the printing press. Gutenberg's galaxy is the world that's opened up, in theory, right? That's what this phrase means. The world that's opened up to people through the printing press. Okay. The printing press was quite an invention. It had its part in revolutionizing the world. I see it as one of the inventions that marks the first point in the Aquarian Age. theoretically, everyone would be able to be educated, and the golden age of mankind would naturally follow, or so we are told. Printing press based knowledge factors out that necessity, however, of script. There is a portion of effective communication that is devoid, based on the types of hand gestures along with the shapes and the geometry of the words as a cohesive whole. A proper manuscript or scrolls, like papyrus scrolls, need to be reviewed first. You have to look at the whole thing. Right? In some ways, it's like a work of art. Then interpret it into what literally, or I should say, transliterated. The printing press makes it such that one can start reading immediately. When you see it, you can just pick up right from there. One of the differences. Without having to study the craft work because, oh, good golly, there's no craft work to it. Right? You have to read into it to find the craft work in the writing, at least in this type of writing, text writing. So, how does this relate properly to reading the Schumann resonances spectrogram? How do you link it into the Schumann resonances? I have no idea. So let's move to the spiritual angle. Many folks are coming to these groups with the name. Oh, as people look to the other groups, Schumann resonances with the names. There's a lot of them, and they're craving some kind of understanding on this. So most of the people, from my experience, enter into curiosity of the Schumann resonances with the intention of locating the spiritual essence. That's a majority. With what I've said about language, we look at the spectrogram. There is a transliteration of the data on the scope from the actual detector itself, right? The hands-on part of this into a transliteration, transliterating it. Based on the proper training and experiential hands-on work with the spectrogram, one understands how to read the colorful results. There's the actual technical meaning of the graph based on the substance of the actual antenna detector units. So what I'm saying is that there's the antenna that picks up the signal, and then it sends it through the wire, and then eventually it sends it to the spectrogram to get, transliterated or translated, or it's called plotted, but it's a manufactured signal that is creating or producing a three-dimensional image based on the antenna detectors. Right? And it's important to know, what you're looking at when you look at the spectrogram, quite honestly. It's to me, it's fairly straightforward to explain how the spectrogram works if one's mind has not been contaminated first, for lack of a better word, contaminated with the spiritual and religious versions of the interpolation, or, because it's like, I've talked about why it's just a lie. If you're coming at this from the spiritual perspective and giving the spectrogram without all of the data there, and you're saying, oh, this is ascension energy and blah, blah, blah. It's just bullshit, straight up complete bullshit, right? So that's contaminating someone's mind if they're coming here without understanding before you can explain technically how the spectrogram works and how they get the data, right? So then, once you understand that, then perhaps you're better able to understand ascension energy, whatever that is, and then maybe by that point you'll understand the phrase ascension energy is it's a hot air. That as well is a it's a cow flop term, for lack of a better explanation. So what I say here is, in lack of cellular memory, an alternate explanation, the song and dance, is added. Needed, it's added somewhere in there. Okay, so the Disney version gives you a really nice, song and dance version of the colorful spectrogram, whereas you might not otherwise find it in the technical version from the actual white papers that tell you how to actually technically read it. It's boring. It's a linotype. It's not, no one's singing or dancing. In the research papers, uh, um, on that I go through. Um, so it's difficult for people to want to read that stuff. If they knew where to find it or could or did, you don't know the language, and so you're just bored by it. And it's just easier for people to go to the other version of this, the Ascension version, because it just is more fun. Like they post sky pictures, clouds, lights in the sky, rainbows, uh, you know, all of, it's just the other Schumann resonance, places really dress it up and they doll it up and they sex it up and they dramatize it and turn it into a drama and a social club and a religion and a tea time, and they spill the tea. Literally, they do. That's what the use of the in my experience, what I've seen. Right? I'm out there. I know what's out there. Uh, that's what separates my version of the Schumann resonances from the Ascension version, is that it's not spill the tea time. You know. So, uh, so part of what is kind of missing in the technical explanation of how the spectrogram works is again, the song and dance of in the technician's style that you would walk through. You literally do a walk, a hands-on walk through. And I take you through all of the different parts of it, including sound effects, uh, as part of the presentation. Um, and so in lieu of that, in the people that don't have the fun version from a real true technician who knows what it is, you just get the boring linotype and it's blah, 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 blah. And that's why you need the fun Disney version of it to keep your interest. Otherwise, it's not fun and you're not sticking around. It's that simple. Uh, and so this is in lack of the cellular memory that you have from doing the thing. Right? There somewhere needs to be an explanation on that's fairly straightforward on how the spectrogram works. Right? So that's what I'm saying. Once you've been contaminated by the fun version, it's difficult to come back here to, the technical guy who has the literal, walk through of how it works. Right? I don't have rainbows. I don't have sky watching pictures. Not anymore. Early days I did, but I don't do that anymore. I don't have rainbows and spaceships and like that's not what this is. Uh, so that's I think I've kind of beat the dead horse though, or beat the horse dead at this point. So so that's why I talk about the cellular memory, the muscle memory, talk about the hands-on approach to it, because without it, a person starts making up the more fun version, the more hands-on version, and that would be the one they already know. In lieu of a better explanation that is able to engage the person on all the levels, they're going to zone out and go with the version that they already have that they prefer. Right? It's comfortable. It's more comfortable. Uh, so the electric side is the deliberative, and having to change your views on something, change the facts, you have to work hard, right? And not only do I have to work hard in presenting the truth in a better way, but the person who already has this stuff in their head, they have to work like 3 times as hard to get the new information past what was there, right? But once that does happen, it can happen. Once it does happen, then it's like this, you've kind of leveled up, because it's like, oh wow, hey, all right, now I start seeing how it works. but it can be a slow and laborious process. So that's why it's better. I always hope people come in where they don't know rather than they come in knowing some stuff and it's like, oh God, now they have to unlearn it, and that may not happen. They may call me out as a liar before they unlearn something that they poorly learned the first time. It's free will. You can choose to believe whatever facts you want as facts. If not, whatever, it's old, whatever. So the electric side can keep going and going, and you're not going to, once it starts accelerating, it's like the hamster on the wheel. It's just going and going and going, and it's not grounded by the other side that says, well, maybe I don't know, right? Maybe I should open my head, both sides, right? The intuitive side. What's this guy Verde saying? He's got some other wacky stuff going on. He's replaced the fun Disney version with some really subversive kind of stuff, actually. So the electric side is the thinking. It's the deliberative process. That's a deliberative section of the brain. It is in essence formless, shapeless. Words as sounds have an emotional content to them. Ultimately, we sense what we say, yet this does not mean that the words are anchored in anything substantial or meaningful. So you can talk just for the sake of talking. Without benefit of having hands-on experience with the spectrogram, one is inclined toward imaginary explanations to justify the incipient belief coming into the space. Any of the spaces I've talked about, Facebook or YouTube or comments, I'm all over the place. I've discussed this previously for its own reasons. It is its own discussion of people who interpret the spectrogram from or as a part of their belief system, not from the actual technical explanation of what it is. Simply speaking, the spiritual this is my experience. The spiritual interpretation was introduced into the collective narrative with the express intention of confounding the understanding of the phenomena itself, in the sense that the unity of the people was broken through confounding the language of the workers. The same thing has been done to the understanding of the Schumann resonances, spectrogram, and associated electromagnetics. If there is a spiritual value to it, this is neither proven nor validated through misappropriation or theft of the spectrogram image. Additionally, were there a spiritual value to the spectrographic information, one has successfully nullified it by misrepresenting the data, declaring the mystery picture to be something which it is not. And I have talked about this before. I've shared about this before. This is not something new. I'm putting this very clearly, putting the people, if this resonates with you as one of those type of people, you're using the spectrogram to justify some type of ascension energy or 5D gamma, and talk about it from the spectrogram, looking at the spectrogram and not looking at the dependency data. You are one of those people I'm talking about. And I'm not mentioning anyone by name or any channels by name. However, I'll let them speak for themselves that, if they're doing that, this is not technical. It's not a technical exposition. If you're not looking for a technical exposition on how to read the spectrogram, that's fine, right? I'm not judging them. I'm just merely saying that this is what I do. Right? And so I'm going to give you, not a spiritual value to the spectrogram. I am going to explain it to you from the actual technical value of what it is that the spectrogram is actually literally telling you. Right? Right? That's what we're looking for. What does the spectrogram literally tell you? And that's what I want you to know. Right?